Hi everyone, my name is Yasmin and I am part of the Take Charge Cats. And today we're gonna be thinking about peeking into our futures. Overall, we're gonna be more talking about how to save some money. So if you've seen previous presentations of ours, you may have heard of the mantra that we go by, which goes along the lines of your present self impacts your future self. You're probably wondering why I'm repeating this to you over and over again. It's only because it's true, and many of us at the Take Charge Cats have, really seen a slight impact of what our former selves can have on our future selves, like those actions. So, for example, why is it important to start thinking about my financial future now? When I was 19, I did not have a credit card. Then I decided to get a credit card. And then now I have a good credit score, about 2.5 years later. So the decision that I made for myself back then is impacting my future self now in a positive manner. So we kind of want you guys to be thinking along the lines of that once you guys get old enough to start, um, getting credit cards. But at the moment, we want to show you guys, how you saving right now at your age could possibly help you be happy with yourself in the future that you save that money. So, 5 years after retirement, 78% of NFL players are facing financial struggles. Why do you think this happens? The way I always grew up, I always thought football players made a lot of money, especially, once they're drafted, they've been playing for a while, and they're more popular that an NFL player is. Obviously, the more money that they're getting, right? So why is it after, about 5 years after they stop playing, they're facing financial troubles? It's easy to kind of think about once you really delve into possible things that they've been spending their money on. Getting all these super fancy cars, all these multi-million dollar houses, it's easy for your money to really slip away once you've been spending a lot of it all at once. And I can bet, not saying everyone, but a good amount of these players aren't saving a lot of the money that they have, and they just kind of want to spend. And with all that spending and no saving, it's easy to lose all of that money that you gained all at once. So let's talk economics. So we're going to be talking today mostly about opportunity costs, trade-offs, and relative values. So what exactly is an opportunity cost? It's just really along the lines of things that you give up for whenever you make a choice. So kind of like my mom always says, every action has a consequence. Not necessarily that everything's a consequence, but every decision that you make, ultimately you're going to be giving something up. And that's something that I've learned as I've gone through the years. So, for example, it's the night before a big history exam, but you also have baseball practice. You could either study for the history exam, go to baseball practice, or neither. You could spend your time doing something else, like hanging out with your friends, taking a nap, or just, playing some video games. If you decide to go to practice, your opportunity cost, so what you give up, might be getting a good grade on the exam. So I implore you guys to possibly think about, if you decide instead that you're going to study for your history exam and you don't go to baseball practice, imagine what your opportunity cost would be then. Maybe you're not allowed to play in the next game, or maybe you wouldn't do as well in the next game. Or if you decide to, take a nap or play video games, you're probably might not get the best grade on your history exam, and then might end up having a mistake during your next baseball game. It's all of these things that we want you to think about when you're making a decision on what you want to do. Is what exactly are you giving up in the long run? Okay. So you think you've got it? Think about a recent decision you made. Let's do something along like other than baseball. What was the opportunity cost? So consider the time, money, and effort involved. So I guess I can do an example for myself. I'm currently in nursing school, so it's either for me, it's like, possibly getting a full, let's do 9 hours of sleep versus studying for a big exam. Um, this happened, last semester. I had really hard classes, that required me studying a lot. So um, it was either like, I study, later into the night or I go to bed at an earlier time. So I decided to go to bed at an earlier time, therefore I didn't study as much for my exam. Therefore, my opportunity cost was getting, a better grade on the exam than I possibly could have gotten instead of, sleeping in for a little while longer. Another thing that I could possibly think about is money. So like there's these really cool shoes that I wanted, versus saving money. I decided to save my money and put it in my savings account. And I'm going to show you, what that saving money does as soon as we go on to the next couple slides. But it's kind of like thinking along the lines of, you have two decisions. If you choose one, what are you giving up in order um, what are you giving up overall if you make that choice? And it kind of allows you to have like a deeper thought process about making your decisions. And this really helps out once you start thinking in a more financial aspect. So overall, it's like, how does this impact future me? How does, going to bed earlier impact me, getting a better grade on my exam? Or how does it help me, with saving money? So we're going to talk about that more as opportunity costs do opportunity costs do play a really big role in our spending, like in the long run, and we can go into that further. So spending now, it affects your future financial self big time. And I can go along the lines of this. When we spend our money today, we are getting rid of that money. We're not going to see that money again. So we're not going to be able to save that money for the future. So it may not be worth like the opportunity cost of spending once we see all the doors that saving money opens for us. If we choose to save, like, let's just say an extra $5 each week, it wouldn't take long for all of those $5 that you decide to save every week to turn into $50. Then that $50 turns into $100. Then that $100 then turns into $1,000. So think of all the opportunities that you possibly have when you save that if you wouldn't have spent the money. So instead of spending that $5 to go buy a Gatorade, a soda, some gum from the gas station, if you decided to save that money, how much could you overall save in the end? And think about, like that big possible lump of money that you might have at the end of it. So what is opportunity cost? So I'm going to go through a little activity here. So cost today, you're spending $425 on coffee. So if I decided to get 4 coffees per week and they're all $4.25, that's going to cost me $17 a week, which doesn't seem like a lot. But if I'm doing 4 per week every month, which is, four weeks per month, I'm spending $68 just on coffee. And what could I do with those $68 today? What could you guys do with $68 today? Instead, let's say that we put that money in to invest, and let's say we have 8% rate of return. Let's see how much $68, so just 1 month of coffees, could be worth in 5 years. How much do you think? Like, create a number in your head. How much do you think $68 would be worth in 5 years? Think about it for a second. It would be worth $101, which, that's kind of crazy when you think about, oh, like all those coffees could have been like $101. Like, it may not seem like that much for 5 years, but let's continue on. In 10 years, it would be 150, which, some people may be like, maybe it's not that much, but still, it's a lot more than $68 that I could have saved in order to get 150. Okay, take a second and think about in 20 years, how much more do you think it would have gone up? Okay, let's go. And then it turns into 335. Like, that's a lot of money. I really would like $335 right now, but in 20 years, if that could help me in the future, like I'm pretty sure I'd be patting myself on the back. So let's see in 50 years, how much would that be? Oh my goodness, that would be $3,663. Like that's a lot of money just from $68 that I would have spent, during a month just for coffee. If I would have saved that instead, I would be having another, nearly above 3,500, 35, I can't talk, sorry, $3,500 that I could have had in 50 years that who would have known if I would have needed it then. So it's just kind of like thinking about, you know, as soon as you spend money, you're kind of giving up that opportunity to have those $3,500 in the future. So let's look here about the sandwiches. So cost today is $12. You get 3 per week, that's $36. And in a month, that would be $144. So let's kind of go along the lines of at an 8% return, what would we be looking at? In 5 years, maybe come up with a dollar amount in your head. It'd be $214. That's so much money, or maybe not as much as it'll be in 50 years. Come on. Let's think about 10 years. That's $319. That's still a lot more than 144. About 20, 709. It keeps going up. And then in 50, 7,757. Like, look how much money that $144 could make you if you save it up. If you save it up and you put it into invest, that's so much more money than $12 that you would have spent today. And if you got 3 per week, that's 36. And then overall for a month, like, come on, that's a lot of money. So my take-home challenge for you is what could you give up today that could positively impact your future self? And as you get older and you start to make money, or if you're already making a little bit of money, think about, if I save this money, how much more could I have in a couple years from now if I continue to save it? Or how much more would I have in 50 years? Who knows? Maybe you might be a millionaire. But that's what I implore you to think about today. And I want to thank you for your time. And I hope you guys stay safe and healthy.